Hey guys, Dave with First Place Auto Parts, and happy Halloween. It's a scary time of the year. And keeping with that theme, one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to talk about cringe-worthy, maybe even scary kit cars. Look, there's some kit cars out there that I would love to own or even build, and I've been tempted by the Shelby Cobra, the Factory 5, you know, the side pipes and the two-seater. Things are beautiful, but beyond that, kit cars themselves, there's some real stinkers, some real porkers out there that are not only scary, they're scary bad. In today's video, we're going to take a look at a couple of them. Look, these are the ones that the owners, when they got done, realized not only did they devalue the car they started with, but now they can't get rid of what they have. And these cars, guys, they are truly scary. So stay tuned today. We're talking really bad, really scary kit cars that no one should ever attempt to build. And the first kit cars that we're going to talk about is, look, this is a 2-for-1, guys, and this is any Fiero-based Lamborghini or Ferrari that's ever been built in kit car form. The Fiero for GM was a pretty cool car in the mid-80s, and by the time they put a V6 into it, they almost got it right, but GM killed it off right at the end when they finally, it was a pretty decent car to have, but it's a favorite for kit car people, especially those that want to build, say, an F30 or a Ferrari faux car, or the Lamborghini Countach. Look, the problem with the Fiero is that the wheelbase is so short that it loses all proportions when they try to make it into these really long exotic Ferraris or Lamborghinis. Even the Lamborghini with all the bolt-on stuff and the hoods and the scoops and the valances just don't look right. There's not enough territory or real estate on the Fiero chassis to stretch that thing out enough to make it even look close. You see these things sometimes at car shows and you just don't have the heart. You can barely go up and look at it, but you can't even look at the owner in the eye. I can't, because I just have to laugh when I look at this thing. The proportions are all wrong. And look, I've seen some that people have put a lot of detail in, but no matter what, it never works out. So if you find a good clean Fiero, please do not cut it up to make it into a faux Ferrari or faux Lamborghini. Keep the thing as a Fiero and keep it, because I tell you what, someday those things will be valuable. All you do when you cut it up and put a Ferrari or a Lamborghini-like chassis or body on it, you devalue the original car. You spend a lot of time and effort only to realize you can never get rid of that thing, and you should have left it as a Fiero. And then there's the kit where people would take an 89 to 97 Ford Thunderbird and try to make it look like a 49 to 51 Ford. The 49 to 51 Ford was not a popular car by any stretch of the imagination in regards to restoration, performance, or anything else. You just don't see a lot of them, and there's a reason for that. It was kind of a homely vehicle, but there's a kit that was available, and it's been enduring because it's so ugly that essentially it was made to be a glue and paste on to the chassis of those Thunderbirds. And what it was is it looked pretty basic at the front. It had the grill and whatnot of the 49 to 51 Ford, but the sides were very slab-sided. And then as you got towards the back of the car, my God, there were fins on this thing that had oval head or tail lights. It had a new trunk and a new trunk pan. It was meant to glue on and use all the factory body mount points of the Ford Thunderbird. They just looks ridiculously hideous. And look, have never seen a lot of these things, but the ones I've seen, God, they're so ugly that you turn away. It's like watching an accident that you can't take your eyes off of. That's not admiration, it's really shock and stun. But please, the Thunderbirds that they're designed to go on, look, they weren't great cars, but they have far more value if you just left them stock than trying to convert it into a 49 to 51 kit car. And just because fiberglass is easy to work with and it's easy to make molds and produce cars, in the 70s and 80s, one of the vehicles that actually gave the Cobra knockoff cars or kit cars a run for the money were what known as the Gazelle. And the Gazelle was based off the Mercedes SSK, which was a beautiful car in its day. But the Gazelle was anything but beautiful. It was downright scary. And oftentimes it was built with either a Volkswagen or a Pinto chassis and underpinnings made for a very weak, ugly car to boot. They tried to mix the combination of 20s and 30s flair with, at the time, modern underpinnings for something that kind of pronounced that you had arrived. It was supposed to be classy and elegant. The reality was this thing was anything but, and it was more towards the tacky and ugly and even scary. You'll still see these things around. Look, they typically don't get driven much because they can't, and the guys that have them typically hold on to them because you can't sell them. They're really gaudy, they're really tacky, and this was one of those cars that just should never been produced. It doesn't matter if you look at it sideways from 40 or 50 yards or whatever it is, you see this thing coming, you know exactly what it is. And worse than that is it's slow typically. It's slow and it's very outdated. So guys, the SSK knockoffs or the Gazelle is one of those scary kit cars that you should not walk but run away from. And then my favorite stinker, the scariest one of them all, and this thing is built started in 1975, and apparently the program that developed this car cost $1 million back then. But that's the Bradley GT2, and the Bradley GT, when you look at the car, it actually has somewhat of a fighting chance from the front. Look, it's got a sloped nose and it's got some gull-wing doors, and then as you start to move around the side and the back, you realize this thing is nothing but a pure hack job. It's got a big area cut out of the body to access the engine, and worse than that, this thing was built on a Volkswagen, so no matter what the appearance promised, it never delivered in regards to performance. And the Bradley GT with its gull-wing doors, which never really fit right, leaked like a sieve, was the epitome of a bad kit car. Look, you don't see many of them around today, but back in their mid-70s and early 80s, these things were the rage, and they built a ton of them because there were a ton of Beetles around that were sacrificing their bodies, or I should say their underpinnings, to produce Bradley GTs. But the reality is, guys, kit cars themselves are bad investments. Look, you don't really have a legitimate vehicle. You got a kit car. It doesn't have a legitimate VIN. And when it comes time to selling these things, they can be all but impossible. Add to the fact that some of these are truly ugly, and if you're gonna build one, make sure you really love it because you might own it for a very long time. But what's not horrific are classic American muscle cars and trucks. And guys, when you need parts to fix your car up or make your dream a reality to get your car back on the road, please check us out at First Place Auto Parts. Simple to find, easy to use. It's at fpautoparts.com. There you'll find everything you need to get your car back on the road and keep away from those ugly kit cars. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video, and until next time, keep the hammer down and keep it between the guardrails.